Welcome, Spartan fans. This is the Coach Donny Holcomb Coaches Show. My name is Rob Cawthorn. I'm the host, and joined as always is the head coach of Mayo football, Coach Donny Holcomb. Coach, welcome to another show.
Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome anytime.
Yep. What do you want to talk about?
Well, we got some things to talk about here. A little bit to talk about. But first, we're gonna go over some different ways you can get a hold of us if you would like to. We have our YouTube page, which you'll see there on the screen, our Mayo Spartan Warriors YouTube, where the Coaches Show is, and we've broadcasted our last live game, so those are all done for the season, but we'll still have a few more Coaches Shows out there for you to be able to follow. If you want to email us, if you'd like to sponsor one of the Coaches Shows, you'll see our email address on there at Gmail to get a hold of us, to be a weekly Coaches Show sponsor to just help the program. And also, if you'd just like to donate to the Mayo Spartan football program to help out, you're going to see our For Giving link on the website as well. We're going to jump in. We're going to recap Eden Prairie here, which will be brief.
I would appreciate it.
After the game, we both spent time, talking to each other, and I saw you as we were kind of going on. We both just, shook our head, and I think that, we both agreed that it just wasn't good enough. And, we talk about all these different words every week, and the one that just came to me as I was thinking about, doing the show, was just disappointment, disappointing, which is a tough word. It's a tough word for an adult to hear, but it's a really tough word for a kid to hear because, a lot of times, sometimes as adults, we don't necessarily believe that kids are trying to impress us, but at the end of the day, they are. So when they hear that somebody was disappointed in them, that kind of hurts and that kind of stings, but that's kind of how the game felt. And I honestly think that the kids knew that. I think that, they kind of felt the same thing. And I know from talking with you and some of the other coaches that it was just one of those kinds of universal feelings all around. How do you and your coaching staff, when people are talking about this, how do you share the message to these young men about being accountable, for what they put out on the field Friday night?
We're on to Cincinnati. Wasn't that the Belichick thing?
Yeah.
Didn't want to talk about whatever?
Yeah.
Well, I think going back to what you said about the word disappointing, because that was my message to the team on the field, to the players, to the coaches, to any of our staff that's on the field. It was disappointing. But I think the part about the word is how you perceive it. You can hear the word disappointing and think the world's crashed upon you and nobody likes you and all you mean is the negativeness. Or you can understand it as, like you're saying, there's a lot of people that want to know that you're giving your best effort, that we're putting our best product on the field to represent Mayo. And when that's not being done, that's disappointing. And that's disappointing in everybody. I'm sure our fans feel disappointed, because we do have a higher expectation. We do a lot of work. We prepare not to be in situations like this. So I think we talked to the kids about, we have to talk about it first so we can learn from it, because I didn't have an answer for why we really had no intensity or fire, or fight a lot of the time. So we needed to talk about it, understand it, respect it, and then say it's time to move on, because we've proved that this is not who we are. Eden Prairie is a great team. I don't know what a score could be if we play well, but we could definitely do better than what we did.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to look at it, and hopefully, the team responds to that message, when throughout this week of practice and stuff. So, defensively, when we watched the game, there were definitely glimpses of good things, but not consistent. Not the consistency that we've kind of seen week after week, kind of building towards that. So how do you build that consistency defensively to start creating a few more 3-and-outs and to kind of, because then that becomes contagious and then you start building on it and things just start playing better?
I think it's a it's a combination of all phases of the game. I mean, you know, from playing and coaching, like they feed off each other. If the defense is holding and the offense can't do anything or is even giving up points, I mean, it doesn't put them in a good spot, especially when you got guys that are on both sides of the ball that are laying it all out there, and then they're mentally, you know, having to come back. So it's tough, but I think it feeds off each other, and just like we're talking about individuals being accountable, phases of the game need to be accountable to each other in a team.
Yeah. So when you were just referencing that, were you pulling from our old RCTC days where offensively you weren't really doing anything and and defensively
you were dominating? Yeah. Yep.
I just didn't know if that's what you were referencing.
I wasn't, but
okay.
I'm glad you brought it up, if that helps you.
Offensively, this is the second week in a row where there's definitely been a lull, you know, where the offense just hasn't been clicking. They just haven't been on the same page and, you know, just really haven't gotten a lot going. But we know it only takes a few drives to turn that around, or it only takes a few drives to then, like you said, kind of push it in one direction or the other. So you just kind of alluded to that a little bit, but talk about how confidence in yourself and in a unit, whether it's offensively or defensively, can then just start to snowball and really build into some good things.
Well, by doing good things. And I was going to bring up, you know, the opposite of it. If you saw on Friday that, let's say, our defense held them, and then we get the ball back and we drive down the field and run out of downs. Defense is back out there. They hold them again for another series. Then we get the ball back and they call us on a fumble, on a whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so now the defense has to go back out there again to do what they had to play outstanding for the first, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it wears you down. Now on the reverse, if our offense could have came out and done something more after the first 7 points, I mean, that it even affects the other team is what I'm saying. So I think everything plays off each other.
You know, after games like this, nobody feels good. So how's this week been? How have the players responded so far?
They've responded as I would hope that they would, and they always have, you know, in a positive way. And it's probably me looking too much into it rather than just let's move on. But after our Monday meeting, everything's been great, and practice was nice and chilly this morning. What was it, 32 degrees or something out there? It's beautiful, and there's a time that they get to be together and bond like that, and they'll remember for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Well, let's, like you've said, you know, numerous times, you know, we're just going to put this one behind us. It wasn't a pretty game. There was no way around it. You know, like I've told people that have asked me, I said, you know, you got to also give some credit to Eden Prairie that,
Absolutely.
You know, when you see a team is down and not clicking, the good teams take advantage of it. And that's, you know, exactly what they did. So you got to give them the credit as well, too. They played a really good game. And but behind us, and we're going to move on and, you know, here and get ready for the next game. So I appreciate you rehashing some of these tough games week after week. So
Got it, yep.
Stick with us. We are going to be right back, and we're going to have a couple of the players in Max Durgan and Brody Schmidt from the talk about the game and some of their progress as players this year.
Majerus, the slot receiver, goes in motion. Peterson throws over the middle. That's caught by Durgan, and he is into the end zone. So nice answer. Took just 3 plays to get downfield, and Spartans are in the end zone.
Welcome back, Spartan fans. Now it's time for the segment that we refer to as our Player Spotlight. Coach Holcomb's brought a couple players from us from the Eden Prairie game. Coach, why don't you introduce who we have here?
Absolutely. To my right, we have 2 juniors. To my immediate right, we have junior Brody Schmidt, linebacker and also running back. And to his right, we have back again, junior Max Durgan, wide receiver and DB.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. Max, we're going to start with you, so if you want to grab the mic there. Every week, we, the Touchdown Club on the broadcast, picks a player of the game, and wasn't kind of hard when there wasn't a ton of bright spots on Friday night. But congratulations, you were named the player of the game for the Eden Prairie game. So congratulations. So let's start with you. So wide receiver had a really nice catch for the touchdown on Friday. I think each game you've progressed. You've gotten better even since last year as a sophomore, getting some playing time on varsity. As you kind of look at your year so far, what are some things that in the off season you said, hey, coming into this year, I really want to get better at as a wide receiver? And do you think you're getting there?
Yeah, for sure. In the off season, I worked with Coach Holcomb a lot in track to improve my speed. I mean, just watching film from last year, I really wasn't that fast. I thought I was, and then you get up to 6A and play all these really good teams, and you realize like just how fast and how big and strong these guys are. So definitely in the off season, I think speed was a factor. And then working with Coach Urban a lot. He's a great receivers coach. Just like working on your routes, getting out of your breaks quicker, and like footwork was a big factor for me. And yeah, it's been a fun year. So
good. So as a receiver, you got a lot of, there's a lot of different facets to it. So, you mentioned speed, but there's also route running. There's also how you set up the routes, different kinds of things like that. As you look at yourself becoming a better wide receiver each week, and as you're working on your craft, what are some things you're seeing as some strengths that you have as a wide receiver?
Yeah, I would say one of my strengths is probably my route running. I'm not the biggest or probably the fastest guy out there, but anything to get a yard of separation is enough usually, or maybe a couple yards to get that ball in there. And another thing is my hands. I'd say I have some pretty good hands. I usually don't drop passes or, anything like that. So I would say my hands and my route running are probably some of my strengths.
Well, those are two pretty good ones. So you can catch a lot of balls without being fast if you run good routes and have good hands. So I think it's been just nice to see that progression as the weeks go by. Brody, we'll hand it over to you here for a couple questions. So each week, see your name at, when the stats come out, see your name towards the top each week is either right up there as the leader in tackles or assists or constantly each and every week. And so how is it progressing for you this year to kind of be able to see the field a little bit more and understand what the offenses are trying to do and get in on some of those tackles?
Well, I'm usually on the strong side most of the times, and Gunner has gave us some great plans for our upcoming games. So whatever he has me at, I can adapt and go in there and make some tackles and hopefully make some plays. Once again,
kind of, got to watch both of you guys play for a long time, and I know historically, Brody, you've kind of been in that linebacker role. So when you're now back kind of in that strong safety role, there is a little bit more to it, as far as pass protection and those different kinds of things. What are some things, as the years progress, you've had to learn when it comes to, playing the pass more than just kind of being that aggressive outside linebacker that you might used to be?
So, I've played linebacker all my life, but this year it's been more safety because we added like the silver look as more of our base. And I like it a lot more. And I think I have like more freedom flying around back there and making tackles and just reading the quarterback.
Yeah, so it's once again, like I said, see you over the top a lot, and you've been able to when you're in that position, how does that compare? Do you get to see the whole field, see everything in front of you, and then kind of react towards what you see?
Yeah, I'm back there and I get to see everything going on. My first read is like the linemen to see what they're running upfield or doing the pass block, and read the quarterback and his like the way he drops back, the way he turns his shoulder, stuff like that, and just read and make a play.
How do you take pride in then coming up making some of these hits when you're going to be going against a lot bigger guys?
I just got to get low, and I know I have my force and my power that I've been working in the off season, and I just got to use my form and technique to do what I can do.
Max, so for you, once again, Friday wasn't, necessarily the way everybody or anybody really wanted it. Those games are tough. Those games are tough on coaches, on players, on fans, on parents. They're just tough across the board. So you come into a practice this week. A lot of you guys are really, really close friends. A lot of you guys spend a lot of time with each other outside of football. What are some ways you guys have, since that game ended, kind of started to assess each other and start to try to hold each other a little bit more accountable moving into this East Ridge game?
Yeah, we're all a really tight knit group, and I think that's why any success we have, it's because we rely on everyone else. And yeah, like you said, Friday was rough. It was just kind of like a fluke game almost. That wasn't us. That wasn't male football. And I think from the group, it's kind of been like, well, you can't change the outcome, so what can you do to learn from it? And just watching yourself and the little things. It's the little things that make the biggest difference. And in practice this week, I think we've been preparing well. Today was another great day, and you can just see the fire in each other's eyes. Like everyone on this team wants to win, wants to get better, and I think our leaders and our coaches have set that standard that, like last Friday was not. It wasn't male football, and we need to bounce back and get better. And we can only do that as a group and as a unit. And yeah, I've just seen a good recovery from our guys and hold everyone else accountable and also taking responsibility ourselves.
That's awesome, yeah. And Brody, after that game on Friday, you know, a lot of times it's easy to be frustrated, you know, and upset, and sometimes even point the fingers and stuff like that. But what are some things that you guys, like right after that game on Friday, what are some things you guys did to collectively, you know, stay together and let each other know, hey, we collectively did not play well, but we collectively can support each other as well?
I mean, the captains have done a great job in the offseason. They've helped us get our chemistry up way a ton, and we've hung out in the offseason, and we know who each other are. And we know that lift on Monday helped us a lot. We just knew that we had to have a good lift and have a purpose on why we're doing this football season and why we work so hard in the off season. So we all have the same idea on what we want, and we just need to do it.
So, Coach Holcomb, you mentioned in the beginning here that, you know, both of these guys are juniors, so, you know, a couple of the younger guys on the team. You know, football coaches kind of always talk about, no matter at what level you're at, you're going to have your seniors or whatever, you know, the oldest group. And then we always talk about, you know, about halfway through the season, the rest of the team, you're not underclassmen anymore. You know, you're now expected to contribute, and you're expected to now start pulling some leadership roles as well. How do you see that with these two, but also with, you know, the younger players that you have on your team?
Well, first off, these are two outstanding young men. You can hear the way that they speak and talk about the program and each other. So they're great representatives to have here and even to talk about this, because our junior class is loaded. I mean, we've got a lot of good dudes on our football team that are juniors, and they're going to be really good leaders. I think they're just waiting patiently for their turn to do that, but at the same time, they're learning how to do it non-verbally, doing it by action, by following leaders to show that example. So couldn't be happier with them, and I'm really excited for what they're going to do when they're in a senior role.
Awesome. Well, guys, once again, thanks for coming. Let's jump into the 10 questions. Brody, since you have the mic, you can answer first, and then move it over to Max for his answer. All right, you ready to go? All right, here's the first one. What would you prefer to learn how to do? Either become a master juggler or walk on stilts?
Oh, I would want to juggle for sure.
I like to walk on stilts.
Okay. What is one food that you don't think you could never give up?
Probably pizza.
I don't know if this counts, but ice cream.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Heck yeah.
I would be in that boat too.
I got 4 gallons in the fridge from the senior night. Need some ice cream.
One teammate that you think is happy all the time?
I think Joseph Boguslawski.
Casey Kramer.
Perfect. Would you rather have a nice car or a nice truck?
Nice truck.
Probably a nice car.
Nice car. Okay.
Car, yeah.
Favorite cartoon movie of all time?
Probably like that SpongeBob movie that came out. It was really good.
A cartoon movie?
Yeah. Come on, you were 8 one time. You were 9 one time. You had to have a favorite.
Wild Kratts. So,
Wild Kratts?
Yeah.
Okay. Works for me. Donuts or muffins?
I'm donuts guy.
Yeah, donuts for sure.
Favorite place to hang out with your friends?
Probably just going somewhere to eat. Just eating with the fellas at their game or something.
Probably my house in the hot tub.
Best thing about the morning practices?
Not having to practice in the afternoon.
I kind of like the cold or like the board drills.
Okay. Would you prefer to have no cell phone or no car?
Probably no car. I could just ask friends to like pick me up or something.
No cell phone.
Okay. Would you rather have 1 million followers or $1 million?
Oh, $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thanks for coming. Max, Brody, great job throughout this whole season. It's been fun watching both of you guys progress throughout the season, so we appreciate you guys stopping by and getting on the show. Max, congratulations on the player of the game. Guys, stay healthy. We know it's not easy to do at this time of year. We know, down a few guys and banged up, so make sure you keep your teammates healthy and you guys stay healthy. Thanks for joining us. All right, stick around. We'll be right back to talk about the upcoming game against East Ridge.
So from the 20-yard line, Spartans will start. Peterson from the pistol. Takes the snap. He's going to sprint right and then shuffle it to Beal. Has some room and a block. He's on the outside. And still inbounds to the 30-yard line.
Welcome back, Spartan fans. I want to thank Brody Schmidt and Max Durgan for stopping by and talking with us. Coach, like you mentioned, a couple great young guys, juniors. You talked about the junior class, but, you got some good sophomores as well, given some time. And at this time of year, when your numbers start out the way Mayo's numbers started out, boy, you need everybody. I mean, you need everybody to help in practices. You just need everybody to contribute at this time of year. So whether you're a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, everybody's needed at this time of year. So fortunate that, got the program moving in the right direction with some younger players. We're going to talk a little bit about the next opponent, East Ridge. Yeah. Last game of the regular season, play on Thursday night at East Ridge. They came down last year, came down to Mayo for the last game of the season last year. It was a good game, and then playoffs started. But
remember, it came down to a last onside kick. They tried to get it. If they get that onside kick, I mean, they've got a Division I kicker that just kicked a 57-yard field goal. Yeah. So, I mean, it came down to one kick. That's how close this game was last year. People think it was a blowout because we went up, 21-7 or 28-7, but they came back.
Yeah, they did come back. Yep. And you're right. They scored late down on the scoreboard end to kind of push that, to push it. So, but no, I was going to talk about that. So, even last year, I don't think their record, by the time, I think they were a 5 seed just like we were. Mm-hmm. But man, did they go on a huge run in the playoffs. I mean, I think they made it to the state tournament, right? Yeah. I think they won 2 games and then made it. They were one of the final 8 teams in 6A.
I agree with you. Yep.
Yeah. So once again, talented bunch. Talented. Like you said, just they have different pieces and talent kind of across the board. But when you watch them, the one thing that kind of jumped out to me when I started to watch them on film, and we've talked a little bit about this already. Of course, wanted to watch the North game because you sit there and you see the score and you're like, how in the world did they beat North? 42-17.
Yeah.
And then you watch the film, and man, it just goes to show that at any level, I mean, whether you're talking mite football or whether you're talking the NFL, you can't give another team just countless opportunities, and that's kind of what that game was. I think North ended up with 6 turnovers, in that game. But you then credit East Ridge for taking advantage and capitalizing on those turnovers as well. So, but once again, like I said, that's any level. You just can't do that. So let's start by talking, about East Ridge on the offensive side of the ball. Watching a few of their games, once again, looks like they have, kind of a dynamic quarterback. I mean, he definitely likes to run. I mean, they definitely have some designed run plays for him to move the ball. But then he also has, a couple wide receivers that, I mean, I don't know. I didn't look them up, but, I mean, they look tall, like 6'3", 6'4", that he can kind of chuck the ball to, and they can make good things happen as well. So what when you guys were watching film, what were some things offensively that East Ridge does that kind of jumped out to you guys?
I think they're really similar to us, both on offense and defense. Their offense, like you said, they've got a real athletic kid. I think he's a Division I basketball player.
Okay.
So he's going to be pretty agile, getting out of the pocket too. Like you said, he does a lot of running, but he throws a good ball as well. There's a kind of a hybrid tight end fullback receiver. I think he's 6'5", and I was told he's going to Wyoming. And then they have their kicker who's going to the U. So they've got, a number of talented players, and I think they're scrappy, but they're very creative with what they do, having an athlete at quarterback.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge for them.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of when they were playing North. It's like you said, the one thing that jumped out to me goes, man, it looks like Mayo. I mean, the white jerseys, the gold helmets.
Yeah.
It did kind of, nobody just kind of jumping off the screen size-wise. But, yeah. So then defensively on the other side of the ball for him, once again, appears to be another fairly aggressive style defense, like to bring pressure from multiple places, whether outside back or inside backers, stunts on their lines, on their D-line, that. But the one thing that – for them is they're not afraid to get into like some sort of cover 2 look if they need to and play out of that as well. So when you guys are looking at them defensively, do you feel that like if you can get them into that, cover 2 kind of look with the 2 high safeties, that's going to help in your running game? As far as being able to take one more guy out of the box.
Yeah, I mean, it would help. But we also put some RPOs on, our run plays, so it kind of neutralizes it either way. But yeah, they're going to be aggressive, and they're going to bring 5 guys, 3 down linemen, and they're going to blitz 2 different ways and twist them and blitz from the safety spot. So they're going to be real aggressive, and if you're going to be super aggressive, it's also a risk of leaving some big gaps open or making some big mistakes. So we just need to make sure that we don't create those mistakes and throwing picks or putting the ball on the ground and having penalties, which we really hadn't had too many throughout the season until last week, but that's in the past.
Yeah. So you've kind of already mentioned their kicker a little bit. So yeah, watching a few of the games, I mean, he's definitely got some potential both in the kickoffs and on his field goals and is he the punter as well?
Punter too,
okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're fortunate to have Ethan as well, who can do some of those different kinds of things. But when you know that the other team has a weapon like that, because in high school, you're not going to run into that very often. I mean, so they are legitimate, weapons, or they have an advantage within high school football. Does that really change anything for you about, how you guys are looking at, game calling or any of that kind of stuff when you know that they have somebody who can make like you referenced, like a 55-yarder?
I don't think too much because in the end it's still high school, and I think it's pretty hard to be consistent as a field goal unit, kicking deep ones that, as if it was often. So,
yeah.
Which it isn't.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's just, it's, just one of those things where, but we've talked about it on our end too. You kind of get the ball to, your opponent's 30-yard line and you're already sitting kind of feeling good a little
options,
bit. Yeah, you got some options. Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
You kind of mentioned talking about, can't have the turnovers and different things like that. So we've talked about East Ridge having that kind of success against North, and, you watch some other films. They're a pretty good team, and whether it's in their special teams, I think, one of the things when I was watching film across the board, whether it's their punt return, kickoff, kick return. I mean, they just seem to be probably the most fundamentally sound special teams team that I think that we've seen. So, and they're, like I said, they're aggressive in that area and able to create turnovers. They had a couple on their punt. They had, a fumble on a kickoff, so when you guys are talking about that and working on that, what are some things you're talking to the kids about as far as ball security and taking care of it so we can maintain possession?
Yeah, I mean, that too, but just how important special teams are. I mean, it can make or break a game, and like we talked about with momentum, that's a huge momentum swing one way or another if it's a positive or negative result. So we just try to get them to focus in on that, make smart decisions, whether it's a fair catch or where you're supposed to catch the ball, related to where it's coming from, just to make sure that we don't leave anything out there by chance.
Yeah, and then last thing, when talking about East Ridge, I mean, it's a weird week. MEA week for the high schools in Minnesota are always a weird week. So you're going to have a lot of teams playing tomorrow night. But for our fans who are going to East Ridge, the game's on Thursday, and then it's a different start time. Then we have a 6 p.m. start time instead of a 7 p.m. start time. So make sure that our fans know, both of those. But it's also, from I believe what you said there, senior night, and so there's just a lot of things that are going to be going on between the weird week, the weird start time, other things going on for them. So when it comes down for you guys, is there really anything different in planning for this road game than any other road game?
Not really. I don't know if it's their senior night or not, but
okay.
No, I mean, not really. We know it's a long ways to go, just like it was for them to come down, last year. So we want to make sure that we're very well prepared and we're ready to go out there and play great football. Nice.
Well, once again, it's I think going to be another fun game. I'm really excited to see how this team responds. I know that unfortunately the injury bug, has bitten Mayo pretty good this week, and so I know you guys are going to be battling this game without some key players. So best of luck. Hopefully everybody stays healthy.
Absolutely.
At least through to get to the game on Thursday night, and everybody stays healthy in the game. So good luck on Thursday, Coach.
Appreciate it.
That will wrap up the show. Once again, I want to thank Coach Donny Holcomb. Oh, before we go, I know that there's still 9th and 10th grade still have some stuff going on. The middle school season ended, so we're going to try and get Coach Norman and Coach Kirkaby on one of the shows to talk about the middle school season and the job they did this year and just how awesome it is to have the consistency with those guys running the middle school program. But I still know that 9th and 10th grade have some stuff going on.
Yeah, 9th grade played last night against Stewartville, and then they play East Ridge. Both 9th and 10th grade play East Ridge on Wednesday.
Tomorrow. Yep. And that's at Mayo.
Home, yep.
Yep. All right. Well, once again, Coach, thank you. Thanks to Bodie behind the camera, as always. Couldn't do these shows without him and all the work and effort that he puts into this, so want to thank him. My name is Rob Cawthorn, and you've been watching the Coach Donny Holcomb Mayo Spartan Football Coaches Show. Go Spartans.
Go Spartans.
Hands out.